I get it. He was probably joking, and I don't want this lost in any of it. But my question is McCarthy right about the kind of coach the Cowboys need, and is that coach out there? So let me set it up for you how it went yesterday. There's a couple of different things. At one point, somebody walked in to Mike McCarthy's press conference and yelled that communism wins, and then ran back out of the building.
As one does.
Sure. Like, I don't know. Although I've started to rethink what people will do in that scenario. Like that guy who walked on the field for the LSU game a week and a half ago and just stood there. Like, he wasn't not trying to evade anybody. And he was just like kind of hanging out. So somebody came in, said that, and that was a thing. And then if I can take you to cut number one, Mike McCarthy also said this, clearly in jest, but I felt like there was some truth in there.
You know, I got to really start working on my drama. Because there's times where I just don't feel like I fit in around here. You know, I just, yeah, I guess I did. I guess I'm just going to lie to everybody. Yeah, I took a moment. You know, I mean, no, I went in there and got my press conference done as fast as I could. You know, I got a shower, and my wife's out of town, so I got home to babysit the girls. So I had a big night.
So he was talking about in the aftermath of the win, but that second part,
I believe him way more than Urban Meyer.
Yes. When Urban Meyer's like, oh yeah, I got to go take care of the kids and stuff. And it's like, I'm going to go to this restaurant
and take care of this blonde.
Yes, exactly. But the second part, I felt like was one of the most true things he's ever said here is sometimes I feel like I don't fit in here. And I know he talked about that some last year or coming out the very first year, but so my question was going to be, do you think that Mike McCarthy fits in here? And then probably the far more complicated question to go along with that is there a coach that could fit in with the dramatic environment around here? Because it's a circus, and thrive as a good winning coach. Because I think like Mike Leach could come in here and do bits and stuff, but I don't know if that would pay off like in terms of winning football.
I think it's very hard. You're asking the person who believes it's impossible the way this organization is run to have it. But I guess the closest person that I think could, maybe Sean Payton, because he has kind of this personality where he understands the Joneses and he could get along with them.
Okay.
And also be able to.
You think he would tolerate all of the bull crap that comes here?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, really, what you need is this. Bill Parcells didn't tolerate it, but he dictated it.
Yeah.
So if you can control it, but then Jerry was miserable during that time. He didn't want to say it, but eventually he got miserable of Bill Parcells. And Bill Parcells got miserable of this situation. And it happened quickly. And so I think you can have those personalities where you're Jimmy Johnson or Bill Parcells and you dictate to the media and you dictate the way things are going to go. I think that Mike McCarthy is very cordial with the media. He tries to play it very Green Bay-like, and that's like, I can kind of lie and get away with it, and you guys are just going to still be happy with me or not call me out on it when he's like preseason football, this guy's going to play this, and then he doesn't do it, and it's like, what the hell, dude? You know, or then he lies, and then Jerry will be like, no, I'll tell you what's going on here, and he's like, damn it. You know, like, who knows how the Dak Prescott injury situation was going to be handled when they found out? Because we saw Mike McCarthy's just disappointment, I'll say the word, if you watched NBC later that night on Sunday night as they told him on the field that Dak Prescott broke his thumb.
Yeah.
And he was like just totally discouraged and not happy and mad. But it's like, don't worry, Jerry will be out in 1 minute and he'll tell everybody what's going to happen. And
that's exactly what happened.
There's no way we would have a timeline. No way we'd have a timeline of 4 weeks if Mike McCarthy was the one representing the organization on that injury. There would be no timeline. There would be, hey, we're hopeful that he gets back. He's going to miss some time. We'll see how it goes type of deal. That's how you want it as a player too, because right now, if Dak Prescott doesn't get back in 4 weeks, what's wrong with you, Dak?
Do you think that Stephen Jones is the closest to the hybrid of that? Because he still does things like when we had him on yesterday, he was like, No, I think maybe the fourth game in that 4-week window would be more likely. So like maybe he would play week 5 or something like that is closer, because then when you were asking him about Michael Gallup, he was like, well, we'll see how that progresses. So sometimes I feel like Steven tells you things that maybe other people wouldn't. And then sometimes I feel like he gives you the stock, well, we'll see how the week goes, which,
Steven's definitely not nearly as entertaining as his dad.
Right.
So if you're asking me the entertainment factor of Steven and Steven giving us information, he gives us very little.
Yeah, because I'm all for
he's doing the Crash Davis. If you've never seen the movie Bull Durham, Crash Davis is telling Nuke LaLoosh, the young stud pitcher, like, this is the way you answer questions. And you give them absolutely nothing while smiling and being cordial.
And I feel like, because yesterday Steven agreed that he would do the call-in show as well. And I know people would still want to be in on that, but I don't know if that would turn out the same way. Like, if he gives a no comment, he'll stick with no comment. Jerry will give you a no comment and then definitely comment about the thing that's happening. So we have a handful of different suggestions. Is Pete Carroll. He would fit right in here. That is actually interesting.
Is it? Because, he's had this weird little back and forth or tete-a-tete or whatever you would like to call it with Russell Wilson over the last few years. And that's like in a place that's not going to light you up about this. And I guess that maybe like I'm not going to be particularly pleased with any answer, because inherently football coaches like being able to control stuff.
Yeah.
And understanding that like coaching football at this level is already tough enough. There's a lot of like moving parts. So adding the theater and the drama of like a whole different area to this, I'm not sure that you're going to find the person who willingly jumps into that talk less of is capable of handling.
I think you're probably right about that. And I have an example. I want to go back to Bill Parcells in just 1 second. But Pete Carroll's come up a couple of times. Cliff Kingsbury has also come up. My issue with both of them is like, I actually think they could fit in from the more dramatic aspects of it. I just don't know if those are like the guys that take you to where you want to be, as opposed to like where the Cowboys have been sitting for years and years and years and years. And so on the Bill Parcells front, I think the thing that Corey has brought up in the past that I think is probably accurate is Bill Parcells had leeway because that was part of the deal they set up when he came here, but also you get a certain amount of time to make it work. The thing that sucked for Mike McCarthy is if this last year would have been his first year. Like if Mike McCarthy would have come in first year, we were struggling. That's why we had to change coaches. And he went 12-5 and we won the division. Then I think that would have been a different deal. But instead, whether you want to blame it on the pandemic or whatever else, he came in, Dak got hurt, the season sucked, and we didn't make the playoffs. And then I think that leash is so tight that Jerry's like, well, this is why it's got to be the way that I do it. Whereas I truly believe if McCarthy would have come in and gone 12-5 straight away, then he would have been like, oh, okay, well, that turned pretty quickly. Maybe I give him one more season. I don't know how many seasons that lasts, because it doesn't last forever, because hell, we saw, what do we make it, 5 years? And we won 2 Super Bowls, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. So like, I know the leash is not that long, but I wonder if things would have been different with McCarthy if that first year would have been more successful and injury-free and everything like that, if he would have been like, all right, you get another year. But instead, we are where we are.